Hey guys, Chris with Cable Bullet, and today we're going to give you a short overview video for how to install Signature Series side mount railing. Here's how the project breaks down. First, we're going to mount our post brackets. After that, we're going to install columns and tensioners. Once that's complete, we can run our handrail, and after that, we'll cut and crimp and then tension all of our cable runs. Before getting started today, let's take a closer look at our project. We've got an existing 10-foot by 16-foot deck with a short run of stairs off the side. We wanted to make sure that there was enough structural material for us to anchor the railing to. So in talking with the original contractor, they did install 2 rim joists along the perimeter. So we'll have plenty of material to securely anchor the side mount brackets to. Before taking anything out of the boxes, do compare what you received to the packing list to make sure we did our job right. Also, inspect all the product to make sure that nothing was damaged in transit. So we went ahead and set the end post at the bottom of the stair run because we knew we wanted that post to be as far to the nosing as possible. And what that's going to do is it's going to help us determine where to place the post at the top of the stairs to make sure that our cables are running nice and parallel to the stairs along the line of that rake. What we're doing here is we're going to measure the distance from the face of this post to the nosing, which is about 3.5 inches. And then we're going to take that measurement and we're going to set the post at the top of the stairs back that same 3.5 inches, and that'll allow the cable to travel parallel to the stair. So we're taking that 3.5 inches that we measured at the bottom of the stairs. We're measuring back 3.5 inches from the nosing at the top. And then we're going to subtract 1/2 inch for the thickness of the bracket wall. So we're going to make a mark 3 inches back from the decking, a nosing there. Now that we have our end post at the bottom of the stairs and the tensioning post at the top of the stairs, we've got a piece of masonry line here to kind of show you how this cable is going to travel really nice and parallel with the rake. Here we have our outside corner bracket. Before we can mount this, we're going to have to notch the decking. The decking has about an inch overhang here, and anything more than 1/2 inch is going to require us to first notch the decking so that the post column doesn't intersect with the overhang here. Instead of installing the bracket right up against the underside of the decking, we're actually going to drop it down just a bit, and that's going to give us some wiggle room as we move on down the line. If your deck has any kind of variance to it or a slope, you might consider dropping the bracket down just a bit as well. We're going to set our bracket 1/2 inch below the decking, and then we're going to use a 3/16 aircraft drill bit to drill our pilot holes. We're going to do the top one first, and then we're going to check for level and plumb, and once we have that, we're going to use our 4.5 inch long structural screws to mount this bracket. As we check for level and especially plumb on these, we're going to be using composite shims to adjust for any irregularities. With an end and a corner bracket secured, we can now use a chalk line to help mark the locations for our intermediate posts. Unlike the tensioning brackets on the ends and corners, the intermediate post brackets have very little wiggle room for any kind of adjustment if you need to plumb your post. What we recommend is run your top screw in first and get it nice and snug. Then check for plumb and tighten it up before drilling the second hole and anchoring the bracket at the bottom. With our brackets secured to the deck, we can now start to attach the columns. And you'll notice each bracket has either 2 or 4 mounting screw holes. These are 1/4 and we're going to go ahead and run these in and attach the post column to the bracket. So if you've done your job right in the bracket installation, made sure that everything's nice and level and plumb, then your post should be perfectly plumb as well. And that's where it pays to spend a little extra time on the brackets to make sure you don't have irregular railing once the post columns are installed. We're going to repeat this process and continue to install all the remaining posts on this deck. As soon as your posts are installed, you can add all of your cable bullet tensioners. Just spin them in by hand. Angling the keyhole in the direction that you'd like can be done with a cable bullet driver and a socket wrench using a 7/16 inch head. Continue the process until all of your tensioners are set. With our posts and tensioners in place, we can move to installing our handrail. We're going to start on the stairs and go from there. Before making any cuts, first, find the angle of your stairs to set your saw to. It's important to break your handrail over the cable inflection point to make sure that the handrail travels at the same angle as your cables. To mark our cable inflection point, we use scrap pieces of wood with 45-degree cuts. You can use a level or straight edge and an angle finder to determine the slope of your stairs. You can also use a speed square and level if you don't have an angle finder on hand. Take the angle and divide it by 2. This is what you'll use to set your miter saw to. You'll want to make sure that you're using a blade designed for cutting aluminum. Use painter's tape over the area that you're going to be cutting. This will make touch-up after the fact a lot easier. To mount your handrail, you'll first need to remove the post top. Loosen the set screw that secures the collar to the center pin. Attach the adhesive disc to the top collar. Set your handrail on top of the collar and apply firm pressure to join the two together. Remove the joined handrail and top collar. Drill 5/32 inch pilot holes and use 4 handrail mounting screws to secure the top collar to the handrail. Drive in the screws with a screwdriver to avoid stripping or breaking the screws. Reassemble and lock in place. Longer or cut sections of handrail can be joined together with structural splines. With your handrails installed, you can start to run your cables. Cut your cables to the lengths of your runs. Fit a lobed washer and crimp sleeve on one end and then crimp. Apply a drop of T9 bow shield in the set screw channel to minimize any seizing or locking up of the set screw. Drive the crimped end into one of the tensioners with either a 3/32 inch Allen key or hex socket power bit. The set screw should be flush with the face of the tensioner. Run your cable through any intermediate posts and spacer bars to the next tensioner. Mark and cut your cable 1 inch past the face of the tensioner. Use a lobed washer and crimp sleeve and crimp that end and insert it into the tensioner. Repeat the process with all of your cables. Tighten all your cables. A properly tightened cable will feel like a bass string. Thanks for watching today. If you have any questions at all, or if you'd like a free sample kit, just contact us.